Hey everyone, welcome back to South to Sell. My name is Heem. This is Nick. And this week we're actually going to be talking about me.
Yeah, we did in the last episode. We went ahead and we learned a little bit about me, and I thought that it would be fun to kind of keep that going and just give him a little interview so we can learn more about him, learn more about background. And I record a podcast with him, and I'm excited today because I want to learn more about where he's from, what high school he went to, how he got into biology, how he our discovery of case is kind of the same thing, but it all happens in different ways. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first question I'm going to ask you is the same question that you asked me first on the last podcast, and that is just go ahead and tell everybody about yourself. Where you're from, what high school you went to, where you went for undergrad, and kind of a little bit of why you're here.
So, I went to Grand Blanc High School. It's a place in Michigan, very close to Flint. And I was always kind of interested in biology because both my parents are pediatricians. So it's kind of like they always push me towards it. Family dinners would always have discussions about something going on, how busy my mom or dad was at work that day. My sister is 3 years older than me, and she's actually about to be done with her med school. So she's also going to be a doctor. So I was always kind of like in this field. I took AP chemistry and AP biology in high school, so I had like a decent foothold going into college of what kind of industry I wanted to go into. I knew things were changing, especially with everything with tech. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do more computer science stuff. Still want to stay involved with medicine. So then I was like, all right, let's just uh, stay true to like whatever my instincts are telling me. So I went to Michigan State University in East Lansing for my undergrad, and I got a uh, undergrad degree in human biology with a minor in Spanish also.
Nice.
And yeah, I really enjoyed learning about human biology because biology can be a lot of things, and human biology specifically was very like us human related, and it was very relevant. And the program I was in my undergrad college was called Lyman Briggs, which was pretty much pre med track. So we had a lot of classes that were like dedicated towards that field, and we also had a lot of ethics classes that we had to take, humanities classes, so we knew about the history of science. So I kind of know how history or medicine has evolved throughout time, what we used to believe, like things like miasma. We used to believe how humans, like if something just smelled bad, we thought it was full of disease, and how that kind of mentality has changed throughout time for us, and how modern medicine has taken shape in the past 100 years. So all that perspective was really good to know. And yeah, that's my background of education
Yeah.
and biology.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. So what about case? So
So
so obviously you are the black sheep in your family since you are not going to be a doctor.
yeah,
But not everybody can be a doctor,
exactly.
right? What kind of medicine does your sister want to?
She's in internal med.
She's internal.
Yeah. So two pediatricians and one internal.
Mm.
And then so right after undergrad or my junior year I was taking the MCAT. Did horrible. Literally not good score. Very, very sad. If you want to know what I got, everything, reach out to me personally. I will send you the screenshots of my score, give you the breakdown,
I will not.
tell you how I studied, and hopefully you don't do that. But basically, I took a whole summer, tried studying. This was during COVID, super unmotivated, and I was just like, I took the exam, didn't do well, and ever since then, my entire senior year of college, I was put in this email email list right after the MCAT, where all these graduate programs, just like you, were being recommended and everything. So I was like, didn't I kept looking and looking and looking and applying, and this was after I graduated. So I graduated in Michigan State in 2021, And the summer of 2021, in July, I found this regenerative medicine program. And it absolutely changed everything. And the funniest part is, okay, so I didn't know anything about regenerative medicine. I didn't know what stem cells are. I didn't know anything, okay?
Yeah.
But during COVID, everybody was talking about Elon Musk, okay? During COVID, it was all about Tesla, SpaceX, and everything, okay? So I was super interested in space and how medicine was taking shape in space. So then I would read a few things about the International Space Station and how they're growing stem cells in 3D, because when you grow them on plates on Earth, like down here, the gravity makes these cells grow flat, which is unlike how they are inside of you. And actually growing cells in microgravity, such as in the International Space Station, how actually the cells end up having more efficacy in all these things because they grow in 3D. So then I was like, oh, that is very interesting. And then I looked at how stem cells are related to regenerative medicine and how they're doing tissue engineering and things on the International Space Station too. So then I was like, okay, I can apply to Case Western from this space kind of standpoint. And so I did. I wrote about all these things and how these cool things happening in medicine in space and how maybe Case Western or regenerative medicine, I can do something in that field. And after the interview, Dr. Bonfield and Ms. Prestage, they were like, okay, we'll give you a shot. So then I did, got into this program, everything happened. It was beautiful. And I've just learned so much, especially this being my second year. I'm so sad because I don't want it to end. Literally, I remember coming in here last year. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's definitely different. I feel like I didn't go to a state school, but I heard stories of state schools and everything, and I feel like this place is just kind of like special. Like it's big enough to where you're not going to see necessarily the same face every day, but it's small enough to where like you can still have connections with the people who come and talk to your class. So, speaking of that, so I'm a first year still. What has been the highlight of the RGME program thus far for you? What has been like the coolest thing you've like kind of latched on to?
So for me, I think the thing that really makes Case Western special, especially this program special, is that if you have something that you want to do or you have an idea or something, there's availability for you to reach out to people that could make it a reality. Sometimes you might go to a university, like even Michigan State. It was a huge school, we had good funding. It's just like if you wanted to do something, there was just so many people, so many professors that are also so busy with so many students that you didn't really know what to do. Here you have entrepreneur, business people, scientists that have an avenue to at least guide you towards that. So it's just like your idea can become a reality here. And that is something unique about Case Western that I've taken away after this first year. I've seen and talked to people in labs that have patents on their names for some inventions because they were PhD students under a PI who's doing amazing things. I've seen companies spin off of this place doing amazing things in gene therapy, all stemming from ideas and then the will of people here to be a good community and help each other out. I feel like that's awesome because this place is also a little small. Yeah. Like Case Western, compared to my state school, it is tiny. But like it's tiny and very, very talented. And I feel like that's what I've taken away from this first year at least.
Tiny and talented.
Tiny but talented.
I like that.
It's powerful.
It's not as small as my undergrad, but I'm sure you coming from MSU.
We had tens of thousands of students, right. So many.
We had 2,000 students in my undergrad. So this has been a big jump for me, and this is kind of a step down. But would you say that you're finding that step down in matriculation, right? Do you feel like your education has been enhanced by that?
So smaller classes definitely bring out individual talent more. In a huge class full of 60 kids, 50 kids, 200, 600, I've taken 600 kid classes. you're sitting in the back, you can't even hear the professor. You can barely even see her. You feel like you're at a concert. Like when you're seeing like a performer, you're just like, you pay expensive tickets to go see somebody in the nosebleeds. Pretty much the same thing. And then that kind of hinders your education a little bit, but it also brings out your own individual motivation. Because if you're not motivated enough by yourself to really learn that, you won't learn it. Because it's really hard to learn with a huge class. It's easy to drown out in the people next to you doing different things. Maybe somebody's online shopping in front of you. You notice, distracts you. Here at Case, I've taken classes where it's literally 10 kids. 10 kids and a professor. That is so tiny that, like, when we're sitting in a class, we all pretty much have to sit next to each other to make it seem like there's people in this class. If you sit a little bit away from each other, you're just like, why is there so much room? You feel like so much attention's on you. And then when you got to ask questions, you get really good answers because the people here are also really great. And then the students here will also help you. There's just so many resources, and it's so like nice and catered here, and I really enjoy it here.
Yeah, they take care of the students, and I like that you said that you can ask a question and get a good answer. I feel like in a lecture of 600, you can't even ask a question.
You can't.
Or you email your teacher and they say, ask the TA.
Yeah.
Right? And here you get the one-on-one experience that can really help you thrive as a student and eventually as a professional. I think that's really cool. And that's been kind of my educational experience my whole life is the small kind of side. Mm-hmm. Like I went to all Catholic schools. I never was really in a class bigger than 30 people. And I found that that's definitely helped me. Mm-hmm. But when the people that I went to high school with, and they went to the University of Kentucky, or they went to the University of Louisville or Ohio State, they found themselves kind of struggling because the self-motivation wasn't necessarily there on their end, but they always knew they had to be noticed. Like they were always asking questions, but now they can't ask questions, right? But I think I don't know. So you're a second year student, okay? What I know it's only November, but what do you foresee happening to you in the next year after you graduate? It's a hard question, but like you might not know now, but ideally in an ideal world, like what would you want to do? Would you want to go get your PhD? Would you want to try to get a job first and get into a lab? Kind of what's the next step for Heem?
So for me, I think I like doing things that are extremely translatable or clinically relevant because I like to pour in my efforts into things that can see something in the future. I would rather put 10 years into something that doesn't exist today and build it myself or work with people that we can build together, something together where all my efforts will have some sort of I can see the fruits of my labor, Whereas not saying there's anything wrong with academia, but if I pursue a PhD will allow me to become an expert in one very specific thing.
Right.
But when you go out on your own, you kind of have to learn everything and do everything, and it's a lot harder because there's no guidance from a PI and things like that. And a PhD would line me up for a really great career in pharmaceutical industry. I could get a high salary paying job. But I'm more of a creator. I want to be more of an entrepreneur, more of a CEO or something. So in the next year, I know that sounds crazy because I'm literally 23 years old. So I don't know about doing something wild like that, only in my dreams, but maybe. You never know. Who knows?
You be the CEO of your own company.
Yeah.
And what's great, what I really like about this, like the regenerative medicine part is so cool. Like coming up here and studying all these stem cells, in the National Regenerative Medicine Center or whatever is so cool. But I'm going to be honest, with all my biology background, the thing that really attracted me here was the entrepreneurship part. How I could learn to integrate the science that I love while also, like, I eventually want to be my own boss. I want to run my own company. I want to be managing. I want to oversee the science and understand it, but I also want to be watching the money come in and how can we improve and move forward, and not stay stagnant. And I agree with you. I think the academia, in my opinion, is kind of slow, and maybe it's us being 22 and 23, right? Maybe we want to move fast, and maybe in 5 years we're like, I wish I just went and got my PhD so I could just have everything locked in, worked on a salary, but at the same time, like, PhDs are great, but when I say this, be like,
you gotta risk
dude,
it.
you gotta risk it. You gotta have fun. You have to, you learn a lot about yourself. I've come up here and I've been talking to you about it, but I've started writing a business plan for a concept that I have, and it has made my brain work in such a different way than it has ever been worked before. And I've learned so much from just sitting down at my computer and having Google on one monitor and having a Word document on the other and just translating. So, all right. Well, I have one last question for you.
Hit me.
So, do you enjoy it here? Would you say? I know that sounds like a general question, but people who might be watching this are undergraduate students who are thinking about moving away from home. I know I moved away from home. You moved away from home. We're both equally 4 hours away from home, and it's not too terribly far, but we're still away. So, have you enjoyed your time here, not only at Case but in Cleveland, and just how has that kind of shaped you as a young adult?
Cleveland is so interesting because who knew? Like, before I joined this program, I did not know where Case Western was. I didn't know what Case Western did. I didn't know they hosted the National Center of Regenerative Medicine. Finding out all these things because of the RGME program, I was just like taken aback because not only is this program really high, like high level with the science, somehow there's an entrepreneurship part in this program. This is literally like a one-of-one program in this nation. And to me, just knowing that gave me a lot of motivation. And then when you come here and you see how Cleveland as a city is not huge, so it also kind of limits your ability to grow in a sense that there's not a ton of opportunity, especially because the space is so new. So and the weather. So let's say if you were in California. California has really good funding. They have a ton of people, and they have a lot of opportunity for the space because it's a very liberal place. Ohio is not as liberal, so there's things that have a lot more regulation. You can't get away with things that easy. Funding is a little hard to come by, and the weather's not too good. But somehow there's such advanced stuff happening here at Case Western that's kind of like you trade off if you want to do really good in your career for 5-10 years and then move away to somewhere warmer, or be in a place like Florida, go in a place like California where there's opportunity, there's funding, but the science isn't... I mean, the science in those places are also really good, but Case Western is just so... You will shine if you come here and you want to do something because there's just not a ton of competition.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of competition, and each person has so much ability to grow and do things here on your own. You won't have things handed to you here, just to make that very clear. Case Western won't hand you things. It's a great program. You do great stuff here. The Masters has a ton of connections, but you won't have things handed to you. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
And I love it like that because it's reality, This is just how life is. And if you build something on your own, in a place like Cleveland, you can go anywhere in the world and do it too.
Yeah.
Like it sounds cliche, but if you can make it in Cleveland and do something big here, there's so much opportunity for you in other parts of the world because things are more liberal, you have more funding, and you just have more people. So it's like a little bit of a challenge, but if you can make it past here, because the food is also not like super amazing. I struggle a little bit with finding like amazing things to eat. The weather, especially now, it's like November now. It gets cold,
We just got 6 inches of snow.
Yeah,
overnight
we woke
in
up
like 3 hours.
Yeah, I woke up to snow this morning, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice stage of my life that I feel like I'll remember forever. I love this place, and I like the people I met here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool spot. It's definitely different than Cincinnati or kind of Flint, Michigan. But all right, well, that was my last question. So, do you have anything you just want to say to the audience? Any words of encouragement? Anything like that?
If you want to be part of our podcast, reach out to us. We can
Yeah.
Zoom in. We could call you. We always want to know about your guys' life, your guys' journey. If you're doing anything cool in the life sciences industry, it would be great to hear from you, know about you, spread your story, and that's all.
Yeah, I mean, we do this to inspire those who watch it, right? Because we were both on a very concentrated path, and the path just absolutely fell apart. And then somehow we still made it.
Yeah.
So, it's not, destiny is written in a really weird language that no one can read until it's translated for you, really.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of stupid. But, all right, anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, well, I think that's all. Thank you for watching another episode of Cells to Sell. I'm Nick, and that's Heem, and have a good one, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.